Hey, Shalom Malkins, Rakam Akapash from James London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of James, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, Christian's truth in all sincerity. Back here in another video, and we had some news come out in the UK recently about this AI technology, how they want to expand their facial recognition technology, right? Because we know Esau's obsessed with watching every move that you make, right? Where you go, what you're buying, everything. He wants to know everything about you, right? He wants to be like the Most High, who knows every intimate part of you, right? This is his wish, his goal, his dream, right? And I remember, I think it was Klaus Schwab, the ex-head of the WEF, because he stepped down or whatever, right? Someone has replaced him now. But I think it was him that said, wouldn't it be great if I knew what you was thinking, how you was feeling? He wants to be all up in your head, man. He wants to know every last little detail about you, right? Because he wants to be like the Most High, right? Because only the Most High knows everything, right? But their aspirations is to be like the Most High, to put themselves on par, on level, or beyond the Heavenly Father, man. All right, so that's what I kind of wanted to get into in this lesson. This won't be a long one. I don't suppose it will be, but yeah, here I've got this little thumbnail. I guess brother posted up in the chat. Brother War here, right? It says breaking. Home Office announced 141 million plan to expand live facial recognition nationwide and launch police AI. All right, and it's here in the UK, of course, right? And the UK also talking about making a British FBI and a British ICE, agency service or whatever, right? To kind of mimic the US, to enhance their powers of arresting and deporting and spying on people and whatever, right? That's what the UK is on right now. Okay, they're following closely behind America in what they want to do. But here's the article from The Independent. All right, it says AI and facial recognition to be rolled out as Britain's broken policing system faces sweeping reforms. Right, because Esau's a poor manager of the earth, or of everything, in terms of running kingdoms and societies, right? Which is not on purpose, but all these services that we have, right, are being run into the ground, right? And so we need a reform, right? We need all these reforms. We need a new world order, right? Because everything needs to be changed because the system's broken. Yeah, it's broken on purpose, for them to bring this kind of stuff in, right? So it says officials say AI will free up 6 million hours of police time, right? Because the AI is going to be doing the work now, or specific types of work that the police don't have to do now, because they're bogged down with all this paperwork and all this kind of shit, right? They don't get to go and solve any real crimes, right? They man giving out parking tickets all the damn fucking time, speeding tickets, right? But yeah, they reckon it'd be 6 million hours of police time. They're going to say, right, the equivalent of 3,000 officers each year. Right, so instead of hiring more officers, which is what they should have done, right? They're gonna, get AI involved, right? So yeah, you read some of this article before we get to scriptures, right? It says the Home Secretary has announced plans to ramp up the use of AI and live facial recognition as she unveils sweeping reforms to fix Britain's broken policing system. Shabana Mahmood is investing 140 million to roll out technology which she hopes will free up 6 million. She hopes it's going to free up 6 million police hours each year, the equivalent of 3,000 officers, as part of the biggest overhaul of an outdated policing model designed for another century. All right, AI technology will be deployed rapidly, right, to rapidly analyze CCTV, doorbell, and mobile phone footage. Right, and we've been talking about all this sort of stuff, right? Esau, he got people observing people now. With the Ring doorbells and that, they're getting access to all this footage because all this stuff's in the cloud, right? None of these people own that footage, right? It's all up in the cloud and they can access it, so they can spy upon neighbors and all this kind of business, right? Mobile phone footage detect deep fakes, carry out digital forensics, and speed up administration such as form filling, so paperwork, right? Redaction and transcription. All right, so the deep fakes, right? Yeah, when it's not being used by you, you'll be able to detect it. Okay, but when you want to use it, no one's gonna know about it because you ain't gonna say nothing, right? So yeah, they have access to your phone footage and your deep fake, your ring doorbell footages, all that kind of stuff to analyze and identify people and all this sort of stuff, right? Which on the surface sounds alright, innit? In the sense that keeping you safe supposedly, right? But we know this is not about safety. He still doesn't care about your safety, right? He's gonna be the one putting the guns to your face. Mr. Moose said criminals are operating in increasingly sophisticated ways. However, some police forces are still fighting crime with analog methods, old school. Right, so we will roll out state-of-the-art tech to get more officers on the streets and put uh, the yeah the rapists and murderers behind bars. Oh, what? These men are so sophisticated. You need AI. You can't find these dudes, right? The murderers are operating on such a high level now. They need AI, right? Now, the crime fighting that these men are the sophisticated ways, the criminals are the ones doing all this crazy, like the money laundering and the thefts and stuff like that, like the hackers, right? Yeah, that's sophisticated. You need kind of technology to kind of, find these dudes or whatever, right? Because the men are using all kinds of different different methods in it. But the common murderer and the rapist, bro, what sophisticated way are they committing their crimes now that they never did like in the last 100 years? Pretty much the same, right? But anyway, excuses, but allow them for the moment. Right, so the government is also increasing, but they always use these ones as um, the shock value type thing, innit? Oh yeah, the murderers and the rapists is like, yeah, it's like shock value. It's like, yeah, we need to get them behind the bar, so we need to do this. We need this AI to help do this. AI is not going to really play a part, other than like just spotting them. But it's not like these men acting in the sophisticated way that they're talking about. But it's to scare you into like, yeah, we need this. All right, the government is also increasing the number of live facial recognition vans fivefold from 10 to 50, which will be used up by forces across the country to help catch wanted criminals. And I'm seeing them around my town and other areas and stuff like that. Man, they're just sitting around, people just walking through the town kind of thing. And you're like, oh shit, the man there with the van, with the cameras there, and they're, bagging quite a few guys, to be fair. So that should be working. All right, so some people are scared to even leave the house now because in case they end up in town and these men are about. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so carrying on with this, it says that the measures announced on Monday are part of the biggest overhaul to policing in England and Wales in 200 years. Other changes include formation of an FBI. Okay, so I mentioned this. Formation of an FBI style National Police Service, NPS, to tackle terrorism, fraud, and serious organised crime. A significant reduction in the number of police forces in England and Wales, which could see the 43 forces merge into as few as 12 mega forces, right? So they're gonna right, so they're gonna get rid of the officers they do have to get this AI in, just like typical everywhere. I just saw Amazon's cutting or has cut 16,000 jobs now because they're introducing more AI. The richest, well, I don't know if it's the richest company. I don't think it is, but Bezos, who was running the thing, like, one of the richest guys in the world, right? Supposedly, right? Has to lay like this company has to sack bare people, like they can't afford them. That man are chatting shit. That man could afford them, but no, it's not about whether they can afford them or not. It's whether or not they're as part of the agenda to bring in this new world order, right? And so they're playing their part in bringing in all this AI technology and all the projects that they funded, right? Because they're gonna put people at the bottom of the pile, man, of the hierarchy of things, right? You people are gonna be at the bottom, begging for bread, being forced to take the mark of the beast. But anyway, I digress. This is significant reduction in the number of police forces in England and Wales, which could see the 43 forces merge into as few as 12 mega forces. Neighbourhood policing teams in every council ward to tackle the epidemic of everyday crime, shoplifters and things like that, right? Officers required to hold and renew a mandatory license to practice in order to serve. Home Secretary given powers to sack chief consuls and driver standards in struggling forces. The government's white paper unveiled the plans to embrace AI with the formation of a national centre dedicated to using the technology called Police AI. Despite an AI hallucination influencing the controversial decision by the Westminster Police to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from a match in Birmingham last year. Yeah, them small hats got on them, man. The AI Police Centre will also help to roll out successful projects nationally, such as AI chatbots being trialled by some forces to triage non-urgent online queries. Alright, this article's getting a bit boring now. Let's see what else got here quickly. Already mentioned that. Yeah. I said that already. Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. Police chiefs welcomed the overhaul as long overdue on Monday, with Gavin Stevens, chair of the National Police Chiefs Council (NPCC), telling journalists there are currently too many chiefs. You've got rapidly changing new technologies which show huge promise. Then you can't get them rolled out because there are too many decision makers in the system, right? Not enough doers, not enough slaves. If we want to put in the hands of every neighborhood cop, every local team, the best available technology, we've got to do that once for everybody, and then get it rolled out. Whatever. All right. Double this article, just walk through now. Right. So basically, though, as AI, Esau's employing AI more and more, right? He wants to turn it into, basically that China social credit system type thing, right? You're going to be watching, monitored, and tracked and traced, and kind of like graded, so to speak, right? Because you're going to have a certain status in society, right? Depending on your movements and how you're moving, how good of a citizen you are, how well behaved you are, right? And so, like I said, Esau wants control over your everyday lives, and he wants to know it intimately, right? And so this AI is to help him do that, and that's why it's been implemented. Okay, not for your safety, right? It's just to control you, right? But let's get to scriptures anyway. It's Isaiah 14:13. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north," right? So Esau has ambitions. These elites, anyway, at the very least, have the ambition to be godlike, right? And we know the Most High is omnipotent, omniscient, right? He is all powerful. He's all seeing, right? And Esau, being the fleshy man that he really is not capable of such a feat, not through regular means, right? So his technology is his key here, or is his baby to get him there, right? To be able to do these things, right? His AI, he's all these technology that he's been developing is to get him to that level of godhood, right? Which is part of his witchcraft, right? It's to try and get him on that level. So with the AI, AI running all these cameras, the AI cameras can see everything, spot you, know you, it recognize your face, or it can bring up these details about you. It can know everything about you, right? It's, you have a whole database. That's why they're putting so much money in all these data centers, man. Building these massive data centers, because they're just gonna be running pure data all the time, man. Every time you step online, it's like they're just amassing data from you, right? So they can get a profile of you. So they can know everything, and make decisions and judgments based on what they know about you, and you're just minding your own damn business. But Esau wants to be able to know that at any moment, any time, So his AI helps him to achieve these things. All right. Verse 14: I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Right. So that's his thing. That's what he wants to do. That's why he's messing with creation. supposedly, making it better because, he got to do all this GMO shit and spice this and change man into women and vice versa, and, do all this crazy shit that he's got to do. Because if things are not good enough the way they were, he's just, out here destroying everything. Recreating the world in his image, right? But his image it brings nothing but death. All right. Says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, right? The Most High, you ain't going to be in this position for much longer, man, because you're doing too much. You're doing too much, man. Right? Says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? All right? So, you're going to go from this higher state of being, above the other nations, and you be brought down to the pit with these weaker nations, man, and they're gonna be like, wow, you had all this power, you had all this technology, and yet look at you, look where you are now. You're gonna be down there with them Hamites who you disrespect the hell out of, right? Because the man live in mud huts or some shit, right? That's what you keep telling people. They live in mud huts, right? But you had all this technology. How come you're down with us? How come you sit in the pit with us, man? All right. This is Psalms 140, verse 5. The proud have hid a snare for me, and cords, they have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me, Salah. Right? So all this technology is a snare and a trap to the people. Right? It's not to help people. And this is why the scripture says never trust thy enemy, right? Because everything that he's doing, he's not doing it to help you. He's doing it to undermine you. He's doing it to usurp you. Right? Finding ways to overthrow you. Right, and this is why such an agenda exists. Concerning the New World Order and the mark of the beast and all these types of things. Right, it's to throw you completely, and ultimately, and finally. Right, because there's not going to be nothing after this. If Esau was allowed to continue to rule, and he had, he got everyone to take this mark of the beast, and everyone else was dead or whatever, that would be it for humanity. There's no way you're gonna, come out of his control anymore. There's not even little pockets, little pockets of space you're gonna have to yourself, or time you have to yourself, where you're doing things without Esau knowing it, nothing about it. There's no more cash, so everything's gonna be digital, so everything's recorded, right? There's gonna be nothing. There's nothing that you're gonna do that he's not gonna know about, right? And he's gonna be constantly judging you, constantly looking at you and judging you, man, and bringing judgment upon you, right? 1 second. All right, so this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Something from 4, right? So, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith, right? So, like I said, he's trying to establish himself an everlasting kingdom, like which he wasn't promised one, right? But he's trying to force the Most High's hand, essentially, or force the Most High in allowing him a forever kingdom, essentially, right? He thinks he could defeat the Most High and his word, right? And so he's, using certain to try and do all these things. But the way he's doing it is not right. Right? This is not how you go about things. Right? He doesn't understand that eventually everything ends to his demise. Right? Because it's not been done righteously, right? So yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Right, it says, who enlargeth his desires hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and hateth unto him all people. Right? He wants to surveil the world. Right? And we talk about China's system, that whole social credit system, right? That's just like a trial run. Right? One of the first of its kind. But these things are going to be put out there to the rest of the world. Right? Everybody's moving on this AI talk. Everyone's talking about making the people safer. And so all these nations are eventually going to be jumping on board with this type of stuff. And so Esau's going to have a whole fucking network all over the earth where he can monitor you no matter where you are in the world. All your movements are recorded and updated real time. Being tracked by satellites and all kinds of shit. Like, you're just not going to, you know what I mean? And he's going to place restrictions on you. So it's not like you should be over there anyway. He's going to put you in these 15-minute cities because that's the way the world, believes, people should live. Right? And it's going to be sold to you like it's some great thing. convenience, right? But no, you're just being trapped. You're just being, a cage has been built around you, and that's where you're staying. If you operate outside of these, man, we're gonna know about it, and you're gonna be, dealt with accordingly, whatever. All right. That's what I really wanted from that, right? So yeah, he wants to get this, this thing of over the whole earth for all the people, right? It says Revelation 13:16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? Because this is only, what it leads to, right? This surveillance state, right? And we've seen it in these movies, I've been mentioning George Orwell's 1984 a lot recently, right? But we're living in that time now, right? And Esau wants to put these RFID chips in people, right? So he can so he can hook you up to the digital system, to the Internet of Things, right? Because right now the only way he can track us digitally is really through our phones and stuff like that. If you ditch the phone, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder work for Esau to try and find you, right? But if you got a phone and you got all these cell towers pinging you off, and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all these things pinging you off, yeah, you're easy to find. But once that chip's inside you, you ain't never gonna get back. You ain't never be able to get rid of it. You're never gonna be able to hide from Esau, right? And you're gonna want to hide from Esau, man, because Esau's not playing. So to say he coming from great wrath because you have but a short time, you're gonna want to hide from him. But he wants to know everything. All right. So this is what he wants to do. Right. So again, he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand on their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right. So you're going to be putting a whole new system, okay, that's going to require you to have this mark, and without it, you're not going to be able to operate. Right. We have to buy nothing, it would go nowhere, right? Because you're not going to be authorized to go nowhere, right? Because you can't be identified. There's gonna be checks, and you can't go through the checks. So who are you? Sir, he ain't got a chip. Why ain't you got a chip? Shoot him. He's a rebel. You're just not gonna be able to move freely anymore, and that's what Esau wants. He wants you, like I said, locked in, like literally, right, trapped. Okay, with no prospect of escape. All right. And say AI is critical for that, because he's just a man, and so he needs this technology to be able to be his eyes, to sit there and watch everything, and he can be he can hook himself up and have access to all this information, because the whole transhumanism shit, right? But without it, they're just men, right? They're flesh and blood, right? This is Ezekiel 28 verse 2. It's the Son of Man, say unto the Prince of Tyrus, right? And this represents Esau, right? The rulers of Esau, right? Thus saith the Lord God Lord God Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God, right? Because you're in control of the earth right now. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, right? But you forget the part it's been given to you by the Most High. The Most High gave you the control of the earth, right? He didn't, it wasn't off your own back. Because thy heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas amongst the nations. Yet thou art a man, and not God. Though thou set thy heart as the heart of God, right? Your mind. You set your mind as the mind of God. You believe and you think and you want to be the Most High. Right? But that's not your place in the world. Right? You was told that you was going to serve your younger brother Jacob. And you're just rebelling. Right? And the Most High put down all the rebellions, right? He would put down all the rebellions, right, and put all these nations under subjection, under the children of Israel, right? This is verse 3 says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from you, right? Because you got the AI hooked up now. You can find out everything, right? This is with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten the riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures, into thy treasures, right? So that's why they've amassed all this wealth and invested in all this technology, right? And this is where they've been able to get to. So by verse 6, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God, right? Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom. They're going to rebel against you. They're going to fight you, right? And they shall defile thy brightness. They're going to bring you down, right? And that's why the Most High, preparing the World War III for you devils, man. America's going to be destroyed by nuclear fire. Okay, the pinnacle of your kingdom, right? And the rest of these other Edomite nations, man, they're just going to be beaten up in slavery, right? They're going to lose men in the Middle East, right? In the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? The Most High is going to bring you down. Okay. They shall bring thee down to the pit. Thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Right? Will thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am a god? But thou shalt be a man and no god in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Right? It's going to be made evident that you're not God. Because God don't bleed. God don't bleed. Right? You're just a man of flesh with great hubris. Right? Great pride. Right? And you're going to find out that you're not what you thought you was, or what you think you are, or what you want to be, or what you claim to be, right? You're just a man like everybody else. And every man is at the mercy of the Heavenly Father, man. Most High set up nations and he taketh nations down, and you're just the same. There's been many men, through history, they thought they were some type of god, a god king, and all these different types of things. They all died. Most High, they had them, they got them destroyed. Right? So, you're no different just because you got some technology. Right? It doesn't make you a god. All right, and so the Most High is going to show that to the world. You're going to be embarrassed, in front of the whole entire world. All right, and the Most High is going to show you a God. Right, and he's going to show you the sons of God. And you're going to know that there's a difference. There's a big difference. All right, all these toys that you got, all the AI and all this sort of stuff. Or we've got nukes. You've got all these different types of things, but it's nothing. It ain't nothing compared to the power of the Heavenly Father. You're never going to, reach that level. I think that was the last one for this lesson. Yeah. All right. So, I'm going to end it there. Lowen has been edifying. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet, but you'll see when I put it up. But yeah, until next time, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters later on the next one. Until next time, I say shalom.